A very good morning to one and all. I, El Siddharth, along with my co-host Shivani Khanna, would like to welcome you all to the keynote address of Sapience 2022, the annual management conclave of Great Lakes Institute of Management, Gurgaon. Thank you all for joining in.
Great Lakes Institute was established in 2010, and since its inception, the Institute has been receptive to changing industry dynamics, adopting programs, and introducing courses to make sure that its students are ready for the future. The Great Lakes Institute has AIU equivalence NB accreditation with autonomous status and has been ranked 52nd amongst the 751 business schools that participated in the NIRF 2022 rankings, making it amongst the top 7% B schools in India. It's the youngest B school to get an AMBA accreditation. It is a proud moment for all of us.
Each year, we organize Sapience to create opportunities to strengthen the industry-academia connect for the students to learn from the best practices of the industry. The theme this year is sustainability, balancing the 3 E's: economy, environment, and ethics. The practice of protecting the present without jeopardizing the requirements of the future is the need of the hour. I'm sure you would all agree to it.
Absolutely, Siddharth. I cannot agree more to what you just said. Businesses are placing a greater emphasis on sustainability, and this change is witnessed in the global attitude. Moving on, we would now like to invite our revered Professor Dr. Debashish Sanyal, Director, Great Lakes Institute of Management, for the inaugural. Dr. Sanyal has more than 34 years of experience in top B schools with numerous honors for teaching. He is a merit holder from the Institute of Cost and Works Accountant of India, where he also served as Joint Director. A member of various educational forums and chambers of commerce, he has a number of research publications in national and international journals to his credit. Please, sir.
Very good morning to every one of you. Respected Padma Bhushan Dr. Atreya, esteemed faculty members and staff members present over here, program directors, Dr. Kirti, and my dear student. Sapient 2022 is the 10th of its kind, so we are a decade-long event which has been growing over the years. And for the last 3-4 years, it's growing under the leadership of Dr. Kirti. We are very fortunate that today we have got Padma Bhushan Dr. Atreya with us. And I would like to take this opportunity not only to welcome him on behalf of the Institute and on personal behalf, but also to thank him, sir, for agreeing to be here, virtually maybe, for this occasion. It's a great occasion for us, and your words of wisdom and your view on the subject, that is sustainability, balancing the 3 E's, economic, environment, and ethics, will have a great influence on the young generation as well as we all sitting over here. Sir, I would also like the opportunity to thank Professor Palan. Because of him, we have been able to get Dr. Atreya. So, Professor Palan, thank you so much for your intervention and helping us to get him. It's really a great honor for us to have Dr. Atreya over here. I would like to thank all my faculty members and the CCST members for helping us to get a fabulous lineup of what is called speakers, panel speakers, and which you will be enjoying throughout the day today and tomorrow. And I promise you the learning you'll get will be immense. So learn from every session you attend, and it will be a great experience of yours. As I said, Great Lakes Institute of Management is committed to sustainability. We are writing one of the chapters in our AACSB accreditation endeavor, and there is one portion what we are trying to get managerial excellency in. And we as the faculty members agreed about 2 years back, sustainability will be our one of the areas where we would like to concentrate. Keeping in mind, we have got quite a lot of publication already in that area, quality publication and A category and B category publication and Scopus in this publication in that category. In addition to that, we have been doing a lot of events. Operation area, I think so, and operation and marketing area together is doing one event on sustainability. We are going to start within this year a Center for Sustainability also. And this Sapience is one of its kind. We are going to have a conference on sustainability this December. The Institute on its own would like to take this agenda forward, and we think this is one of the most important agenda to take it forward. We have a Karma Yoga program where students are not only go to various villages and to teach various things, including various things on various aspects of sustainability, Swachh Bharat, etc., etc. So we also do activities like cleaning up ponds and other things to ensure that young people like you understand more and more about the importance of this topic and how you all should behave to give a better world to the next generation. Next generation will be unhappy if we keep a world which is not livable. I will not take much of a time, and I take this opportunity, an honor to welcome all of you to this Sapience 2022, the 10th of its kind, and I thank all the faculty, my non-teaching CCS for all their support. Kirti, you have been doing a great work, and thank you for all for your leadership. And finally, once again, Sir Padma Bhushan Dr. Atre, thank you once again for being here for this important event and ushering your blessings to the students, as well as they are all waiting for your talk. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Indeed, it's a moment of honor for us to be here at the 10th edition of Sapience. And sir, I'm sure the students will make the most of this conclave to learn about sustainability. Moving forward, we would now like to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Mrityunjay Atreya. Dr. Atreya is the awardee of Padma Bhushan, the third highest civilian award of the country. He has been professionally honored as the Grand Guru of Indian HRD and is a respected icon of the Indian costing profession. He is widely known as the founder and pioneer of the Indian management movement because of his illustrious contributions in various areas, from heading the Telecom Restructuring Committee to starting Sampradhan Indian Center of Philanthropy to promote philanthropy among Indians. Dr. Atreya is now a national evangelist on the 4 major challenges before India in 21st century. These include climate healing, coping with China, reduction of inequality, and sustaining karma. Sir, we are grateful for your time and we invite you to deliver the keynote address.
Dr. Sanyal, Dr. Palan, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here to interact with the students. And I've titled my keynote address as Optimizing. As you know, in management, we debate between maximization, which is often difficult, and when there are multiple parameters and slight conflict at the boundaries, we have to think of optimization, and that is a key struggle for us in the next 20, 25 years. The students are at a very critical point of their life and Indian history. We have just finished the Amrit Mahotsav. We are heading towards Swarnim Bharat. The next 25 years, all called the Amrit Kal. And this Sapience conference is taking place in that context. 5 key slides in my presentation. And I have told Dr. Palan that I'll speak for about 25 to 30 minutes. That leave 20 minutes for questions. So may I invite the students already, as you listen to me, to keep thinking of your questions. So the first is the imperative of sustainability. The sustainability debate began in 1991 with the Rio Conference, Agenda 21. But in the initial years, individuals, companies, governments did not take it seriously. Now it is becoming something of a crisis. So sustainability mantra is everywhere. And it is quite right. It has to influence our consciousness, our planning, scheduling, action, control at every step. So we will look at what are the imperatives of sustainability. And then we have three factors that you have included, the three E's, and I've given them some particular adjectives to highlight. In the environment, we want to leave behind a healthy environment. We have made it highly unhealthy, toxic air, particulate matter, various kinds of pollution, mild, slow poisoning, affecting health, education, skills, productivity, as well as lifespan. In economy, our paramount growth, especially in India, is high growth. We have been pursuing growth for a long while, and we have not done as well as we should, as our potential. In the next 10, 20 years, we have to really focus on the growing economy, but subject to the healthy environment. And at the same time, we have to follow ethics, which has been a matter that I have been stressing for the last 50 years. Many institutes, like including yours, the concepts of dharma and various elements of dharma, we'll look at some of those in that slide. And I'd like to conclude by offering you, the students, the graduates, an action plan, and I've taken the liberty of calling it your action plan, and you can take this as a model, as a framework, modify it, enrich it, as you deem fit, and take it forward. And of course, all action plans have to be periodically reviewed, revised, updated, and made more contemporary to the current situation. Right, okay, this is the first slide title. Next slide. Next, yeah, okay. These are the bullets that I'd like to, we have no option except to be very serious about sustainability. If we don't do that, we will end up in pralayam, chaos, deluge. We are already seeing it. For example, right now, yesterday in Bangalore, the city is floating, the IT city, the city that creates so much jobs and exports and wealth for India, pays taxes. Despite that, the city is unable to cope with rain. Next door in Pakistan, we see very heavy rainfall and 1/3 of the population homeless, affected by the rain. We see heavy fires in California, in Europe. France requested the help of Germany and other countries to put out the fire. Their own fire tenders could not handle it. So this is what in the beginning, more and more melting of the glaciers, rising of the sea levels, changing weather patterns, unpredictable heavy rains followed by long droughts. So I think if we are just at the 11th hour, and we have to take action to avert pralayam. Even now, some of our people, marginal coastal areas, they will be affected. Whatever we do, we cannot change it unless we migrate them, move them from there. But at least from now on, we should take care that we save people from pralayam. So the environment has to be our first priority. So in the three that we have mentioned, economy, environment, and ethics, the environment has to be our first priority. That is, in fact, the top element of our dharma. Dharma to our people, dharma to future generations. And it also means that whatever economic growth, however high we are able to achieve, it has to be under one condition, which is immutable. It has to be green economic growth. We cannot afford to have any kind of economic growth. Certainly not the high carbon pollution kind of economic growth. So we have to work simultaneously on the energy front as well as economic growth. And with respect to ethics, there are many aspects of dharma. Broadly, you may have heard that there is samanya dharma for citizens, workers, common people, and is shreshta dharma for elite, the responsible, privileged, highly qualified, skilled people like ourselves. And the MBA graduates from Great Lakes Institute certainly belong in the category of Shrestha. So the Shrestha has a higher, more demanding dharma than the Praja, than the Samanya Vyakti. The Shrestha has many aspects. Let me just highlight two, which you may have heard or read about in the Bhagavad Gita. Yad acharati Shrestha, tatadaiva itaro janaha. Whatever the senior, the elite, the role model does, other people follow that example. Like yatha raja tata praja, yatha shreshta tata lok. Sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. So the standards he sets are followed by the people. For example, I've been raising this in quality programs in many companies. It is easy to have a quality policy, to draft a quality manual, to give skill training to people on quality. But unless there is a culture and senior management values of quality, quality will not happen. The workers are very intelligent, and they will see a divergence between all the big words that are being used in the policy and the actual machinery, conditions, maintenance, material availability, and the management.
Your face is not visible.
Okay. My face is not coming on my screen. Okay. So we will elaborate that, Shrestha Dharma. And now the world, which had written off India till about 1991, highly disappointed with us. The promise we showed in the 1950s, not delivered, got into various kinds of license, permitrage, controls, what is called the Hindu rate of growth, 3 to 3.5% for 40 years. But now we have broken through. We are now the largest growing big economy in the world. We have handled COVID very well. We have handled inflation and exchange rates, rupee, and deficit comfortably. So the world has high expectations also because China is maturing, stagnating, may even go down. So the world is looking at us as a high growth economy, a market, part of the supply chain internationally, a reliable democracy, stable, highly educated people. So it has high expectations, and this time we should not disappoint. It may be our last chance. So let's take the healthy environment. The word I have put in block letters there, stop. Stop polluting, stop further erosion. What damage we have caused already is quite severe. It will take time to reverse it. So at least the first step we must do, that further damage to the environment should not be done by business and other stakeholders. We will look at them in detail. And then we have to heal as much as possible, to the extent we can, the past damage. Whatever corrective, restorative action that we can take, and science and technology keeps giving us some options whereby we can roll back some of the damage we have caused. Some cannot be rolled back, they're permanent. So stop the erosion, heal the past damage, and as for the future, from now on, make your business green. All businesses must not be black, brown, gray, adding to the pollution. They must be green. So at least now we don't make further addition. We heal some past damage, and we gradually give nature time to restore herself. And every business and wherever you work, any division, any location, any particular factory or marketing office, you have to not only improve your own corporate environment, which is nice and cozy and comfortable, but whatever you can do in your local environment, within a radius of 20, 30 kilometers, part of your CSR, as well as some additional effort by education, communication, skill building, motivation, training local leaders, working with NGOs. And just like India has set a net zero date, you may be aware of it, 2070. And some of the large companies in the world are giving their own net zero dates, like Shell. So whichever company you work for, suggest to your management gradually that can the company think of a net zero date for itself so that it stops net pollution of the environment in its manufacturing warehousing, transportation, delivery, packaging, and post-consumption disposal of the packaging, and various ways in which your carbon footprint is now being left in the world. So these will all come into your action plan. So please note this, that one of the contributions you can make in your company is to talk about the net zero date for the company. They may initially reject it. They may not be enthusiastic, but you very gently persist. And I think with every passing month, quarter, and year, they will realize that this is a sensible thing to do. And using your finance background, all of you have gone through course in finance, you can argue that net zero is also net profitable for the company. So by working on this, they are actually saving costs and improving quality, reputation, image. It can reflect in some premium pricing. So the various ways in which all strategies can be tied in together. Next. Yeah, now we come to growth. Yes, certainly we need a growing economy. India needs to be the highest growing country in the world for the next 10 to 20 years. Something like 7%. The RBI Deputy Governor recently said that we can even grow at 11%. I don't know for how long. That's difficult. Economies have their inherent constraints. Some years ago, the economist said that India's sustainable growth rate is 7%. At least that let us achieve. If we achieve that for 2-3 years, then we may move up to 8, 9, and so on for some time. Then, of course, it will taper down again. So we have to have high growth. High growth is needed, but it has to be also inclusive. To lift our people out of poverty, we have lifted some. Still, we have the world's largest population with low per capita income, so we have to lift them. We need faster growth. We don't have time forever to keep growing because China is already 5 times our size, and the gap kept increasing over the last 20, 30 years. At least now, we will never bridge the gap, make up, we will not come equal to China, but we can, every year, we should reduce this gap. From 1 to 5, if we can come to even 1 to 3, that will be helpful for us in coping with China. And the future growth should only be sustainable growth, not growth of any kind. So we already said environment first, we have to remember it when we talk about growth planning. And in your case, corporate growth planning, your growth of yourself, your vendors, your dealers, and that you have to make sure that not only your own in-house, but your partner's growth also is planned, putting environment first. And we need, because of our past neglect, inability to spend money, we need some extra growth than normal. That's why the high growth includes various components. Our health and education has been improving recently, but still not good. And some countries are spending 5 to 6% on health education. And we have been depending too much on imports, and still the gap is increasing with China. So we have to spend more on defense. For example, the recent launching of the aircraft carrier and the debate on whether we need a 3rd aircraft carrier, the need for air arm, the integrated forces, theaters of operation. So there are many important ideas, and the sooner we implement them, the better for the security. So I think people need not only economic welfare, but also a sense of security, especially people in the border areas like Arunachal, northeastern states, and in Kashmir. Then we have the deepening ethics. You may have heard about the human debt philosophy that we have in our Hindu dharma, Pancharan, 5 debts that the human being owe. And one of these is our debt to the environment, that without the earth, water, sky, ether, and the Panchabhuta, human life and food and welfare is not possible. So we have been plundering the environment. So we have to repay the huge debt, our run. And our dharma to all our stakeholders. When I started teaching at IIM Calcutta, at that time, the understanding of stakeholders was very poor. In public sector enterprises, the general assumption was that the enterprises existed for the sake of the workers. And in the private sector, there was an unstated assumption that it existed for the sake of the promoter family. I think both these are gone now. We realize in a market competitive economy, the customer comes first. So the customer, then we owe return to the shareholder, pay interest and debt without the huge problem of bad debts. The employee, of course, business partners and the vendor as well as the dealer. There are multiple stakeholders, and then there is a society, public, government. So we have a separate dharma for each of these stakeholders. And another dharma that we have is also we have to guide them to be responsible stakeholders. How to use the product, unpack the product, deal with the packaging, as well as the employees to be responsible to create value, and the large funds who are investing in companies are also bringing in their ESG dharma, environmental, social, and governance qualities in the company. And they're willing to give up 1 or 2% of return, and they will not invest in companies which violate these three requirements. So you have in this theme of this Sapience conference, a very good dharma, the dharma of the 3 E's, economy, environment, and ethics. So this we owe to the whole world. If the product goes in exports, or if we are supplying components to some original equipment manufacturer elsewhere in the world, or if we depute our employees to work for them, we do consulting with them, we have to practice this dharma, not just for India, not just for our location, but the whole world is one world, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one family. And then we have a very important dharma. We hardly ever think about your children and grandchildren, what kind of world we are leaving them behind. Here, I think your generation, the MBA graduates today around the age of 25 plus minus, you have to forgive us, your older generation. We have not done as much as we should have. This has been repeatedly mentioned in international discussions, that there have been slogans like we have only one world and leave behind a good world for the children. But now, since we are aware and there is campaign and we have made commitments to the world, so we have to keep in mind at all times our dharma to future generations. I think this may motivate us very highly because we're all fond of our children, grandchildren, the next aane wale PD. So our feelings, and we should show it in action in dealing with environment, ethics, and economy. Now I come to your action plan. I'm going to make a unusual suggestion, which you may not expect. You may be very bright, you may do very well in your interview, and you may get job offers from the top companies which are already aware and doing many good things. And that may carry a very good salary package, bonus, stock options, and so on. And I hope there will be some of you who will be, I heard the word karma yoga. You will get enough money, you will live comfortably, you can save, but you will not get the maximum. But if you join a company which is deficient in all the 3 dimensions, economy, environment, ethics, as a deliberate act of good karma, as a challenge, you have a great opportunity to get job satisfaction, reputation. It may not appear today, but if you work hard for 5, 10, 20 years, this is my personal experience in life. There was a period between 1967, when I joined IIM Calcutta, and 85, it was wilderness. People were not interested in management, in optimization, in quality, customer service. It is common, agreed philosophy. And I think my Padma Bhushan was not earned in 1 year or 2 years. It is earned over 40 years of sustained commitment, belief, above all, a positive faith in India, in Indians, in Indian management, in Indian workers. So go for a company which is deficient, even at a slightly less compensation. Then you have your mission. Your first mission is to transform that company. the next 3 to 5 years, you work very hard on all dimensions of environment ethics and the economic growth, business growth. Once you have done that, you don't have to stay with that company all your life. Move on. If you are in chemical, steel, or some consumer product, you go beyond your company and upgrade the whole sector. We have industry associations, they have committees, vice president, president, secretary, and you assume one of those roles, and you take the lessons from your company to upgrade the whole sector. You may not succeed 100%, you upgrade 70, 80% of that, and the rest will come along later. So let's say 25 to 30, 35, you transform your company. 35 to 40, 45, you transform a sector. Then you are still energetic and there is time and you can do something for the whole of India. This is how I moved. I did something in the Eastern Indian sector. Then I gradually moved on to other sectors, all India, international connections. So already some of our economists, technologists, scientists, IT specialists are moving on from national to regional contribution, and some are in the world economy, becoming world CEOs. But there's a difference. If you migrate early in your life and become CEO somewhere, I'm not very impressed. The question always we should ask, what have I done for India? What have I done for my Jarmabhumi? Why am I choosing some other country as my Karmabhumi? So one appeal I'd like to make to you, please make this little sacrifice. With your qualifications, stay in this country. Visit abroad, go for a short-term course, go for updates, but keep coming back, whatever you learn, to give back to this country. And you can contribute to the world economy from here. You don't have to go abroad. India is one of the 5 major powers of the 21st century. US, EU, China, Russia, and India. We have a collective responsibility to develop the world on holistic lines, and each one of you has the potential at some stage in your life. So I leave with you a 3 life vision. So when you are 80 and when you look back, you can look back with great satisfaction and pride. You will receive many awards, you will be recognized, your family will be proud of you, your village, your town. So have a life vision. Don't just go in incremental short-term views. What is it your life to amount to? Is it meaningful? Is it significant? Has it made a difference for this country? And within that, you have different professional missions, depending on your earlier background, engineering or finance or law, economics or whatever. So respective professions where you go, excel and collectively serve your company, the sector, the country, region, the Asia Pacific, and then the world. So these are the thoughts I have wanted to leave with you. I am now looking forward to your questions. Thank you very much.
So the first question is from Madhav. In your view, how can technology help in reducing carbon emissions?
Technology has a great role to play. In fact, it is one of the most important roles. We already see green hydrogen as a big whole, renewable energy in 2 parts, solar as well as wind energy. And within each of them, there is a lot of innovation that is taking place. In solar, there is a problem of a large collecting area. Now the panels are being improved, the material is being improved in a small area. How technology innovation is very critical. And I think those of you who can go into it, combine MBA with R&D, technological innovation, some of you become a startup. So technology is very critical. We have so far been mainly borrowing technology. I think India now should become an innovator herself. We should be licensing technology. So I think, but let us take whatever technology is available, it is still worth it for a green, sustainable environment. So those of you who studied technology, BSc, engineering and so on, please don't lose track of it. Keep track, update yourself, and be a technologist manager.
Thank you so much, sir. So the next question is from Abhishek, and he asks, as we are heading towards Industry 4.0 and Web 3.0, where our focus is mainly towards industrial revolution. How are we going to manage sustainable development?
No, I think 4-0 is a inevitable right strategy. We have to move in that direction. That itself includes sustainability-related ideas. The problem we may have is employment. As we move into 4.0 and use of more technology, it will displace people. So the employment question has been debated, and the answer is clear in theory that continuous skilling, reskilling and development, the national education policy is an academic stream where you keep advancing. The other is the vocational stream. So we should increase the number of candidates who come to the vocational scheme, and not only what they learn during their initial education, but continuous training, retraining at the corporate level, at the sector level, and benchmarking with the best in the world. So I think we have to put a lot of investment in human resources and not just semi-skilled kind of work. Really, we have to have very high skills of the kind that we've had in IT, has to come into manufacturing, process industry, in every aspect of our society. The product may be the same, but the process and the inputs, the technology can keep changing. And the issue we have to worry about, 4.0 is fine, we should go for it, but with employment.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question is from Anmol, and he asks, what key things do we need to keep in mind to ready our businesses for tackling the world's greatest environmental challenges?
First of all, you can follow the very effective management model that we have. The company should have an environmental action plan. Now that is what you will implement. But before you can get there, you have to have a vision on the environment. What is it now? What do you want it to become in the next 3 to 5 years? What kind of image, perception of the company from outside will be seen on how it deals with the environment. Then you have to have an environment strategy. The strategy would include what kind of existing new technologies that you will use, the kind of human resources you will mobilize for it, and a project management plan to implement the transition from the current technologies, polluting technologies, to better ones. Gradually, you cannot do all at once in the same time in all locations. So making an environmental action plan based on a vision, strategy, and also very important to involve the people, help them to understand in very simple terms what it means for them, their children and grandchildren, for their community, in their own enlightened self-interest. So make the workers partners so that they don't feel that there's one more additional burden on their back in addition to the normal work of the company. So I think, and even the consumers, users, so all the stakeholders have to be part of this environmental action plan, partners, and cooperate in the true spirit. So it is, however bad your environment, your record so far, the key principle of management is that you can always start today and keep improving until you reach a satisfactory level. And then from there you improve to more optimal levels. So never give up, never take defeat, but management is about planning and action.
Thank you, sir. Now we have a member in the audience who wants to ask you a question. Go ahead.
Sir, in a developing country like India, where a lot has to be constructed so far, how can we imagine sustainability materializing, sir?
We have no option. The Prime Minister has made commitments to COP26. If I were in front of you and if you had more time, I would ask the audience, can you remember the Panchamrit that he has mentioned? These we have to achieve by 2030, not far, within the next 8 years. So there are no excuses. And we are no longer a developing country. We are a middle-level country. There are developing countries in Africa, but we are beyond that tag. We are one of the fast-growing countries. So I think we should not hide behind any of these fears, anxieties, and alibis. We have no choice. We have to do it. We owe it to our people, owe it to the world. However hard the struggle, it has to start now. And the PM has given this commitment to COP26, and he has also given a long-term commitment, 2070 as a net zero date for the Indian economy. And we may actually eventually advance it. And there is an argument that if we do it by 2065, it will save a lot of money. It will be good for the Indian economy. So the sooner you improve your green economy processes, it is not an expenditure, it is not a burden, it is a self-financing process. So we have no excuses. We have to do it. We will find solutions. Every company will find its solution. Some have already done so. Outstanding.
Thank you, sir. We have another member in the auditorium who wants to ask you a question.
My name is Mridav Goel, and I wanted to say that as we've been seeing that the Indian economy is growing despite the poor conditions of the world around us, and we're the 5th largest economy. But in terms of sustainable preparedness by the UN, we have again stepped down 3 ranks from 117 to 120.
Yeah.
Sir, don't you feel that implementing sustainability will slow down India's economic growth in the initial years?
No, not necessarily. I think it depends upon how innovatively we do it, what kind of technology we use, and even if it reduces by 0.5%, 1%, no harm. We will do it. What may happen is, for 2 to 3 years, the growth may be affected a little bit, but once we have implemented the green steps, it will pick up again. So you don't expect a steady average 7% growth. There may be years of 5, there will be years of 9. So you should take a long-term secular trend average. And in statistics, a fundamental lesson I learned 60 years ago, which has helped me a great deal. Don't bother about random variations. Don't worry about seasonal factors. Look for the long-term cycle and trend. And there we have to make India a green country, like every other country. Is there, we have to make it, manage it in a very systematic manner.
This question is from Vanshika, sir. Could you share a recent challenge that you faced while working on a sustainability project, and how did you overcome it?
One of the case studies I know personally and where I had a role to play is the transformation of ITC. Some of you may have read about it. The company has taken great efforts in Bhadrachalam paper boards, their factory, zero water, net zero, and all in the tobacco cultivation where it works with farmers, in other consumer products, in its hotels, in the consumption of water, electricity, for example, automatic switching on and off of the central air conditioning system. So ITC is one company which has demonstrated this. And you have many others, the Tata Steel in steel manufacture, the L&T in their equipment manufacture, as well as in the project sites. I think there are several rising examples now in India. These are members of FICCI, ASSOCHAM, CII, where lots of these debates are going on. And I think if you regularly read, India has 7 business newspapers, at least 2 of them if you read, and the annual reports of companies and our own environmental ministry's report. You are not starting today. There is already progress. You are building on top of it.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question is from Shubham. He asks, how can sustainability be incorporated in the DNA of a company?
Yeah, that is a big campaign. You may have had sessions on corporate values. Sustainability has to be one of those values. Earlier, we have included things like customer satisfaction, shareholder returns, and so on. Now we have to build in sustainability as a very important value, perhaps the top value, and there has to be a huge education training campaign. So I mentioned about the environmental improvement plan. and detailed schedules. And I think people should be given what this is, the actions to be taken, how to take it, and give them training, feedback, coaching. So you have to carry the people along, and they have to first internalize. It has to be their environmental sustainability plan. It is a struggle, but if they see the sincerity of the management, the Shrestha Dharma that I talked about, management practices what they preach. This is what has happened in the large companies. And by now, I think they are also aware of the environmental issue. They are reading and hearing about it on radio, TV. The cell phones carry a lot of social media news on this. I think they are not as ignorant as we think, and they'll be receptive if the management is sincere and puts their action behind their words.
Thank you so much, sir. And we have one last question from the audience.
Hello, sir. Good morning. My name is Rishabh, and my question is, how can we design thinking help with sustainable development?
You have to first identify what are your sustainability issues. Where is your pollution, carbon, the outflow coming from? So this is a very simple question. Your engineers, technologists, marketing people can all analyze this. So you see the sustainability weaknesses of the company in the entire value chain. Once you have identified that, you become your own critic. Don't wait for a newspaper or a journal, investigative agency to point out your faults. You yourself take charge, take responsibility. And then you do a benchmarking with other companies in your industry, in India, abroad. Don't take satisfaction that some others are as bad as you or behind you. Look at the best examples. Identify the gap, and you can make an action plan to plug the gap. You may never totally remove it, but you can come closer. So I think diagnosis, survey, action plan, prioritizing, and getting on with it. I see a lot of skepticism and uncertainty. That is true, but you have an MBA, you are decision makers, problem solvers, and here is a very important historic problem. The problem of the 21st century is first environment, next is a reduction of inequality by bringing growth, and the third is bringing values into all relationships. So I think you get going, choose a company, as I've suggested, with all these problems, and you will find the solutions as you go along. All that you've learned in the 2-year MBA and earlier will come in handy. You have to engage with an open mind, without fear, without doubts and self-criticism. So we are all in the position of Arjuna with the Vishada, but we have to just go ahead. So you treat this environment, economy, ethics as your Dharma Yuddha. This is your opportunity where you can excel.
Thank you so much, sir, for patiently answering all the questions. Sir, we are pleased to share that the Student Council conducted a poster-making competition for students on the theme sustainability, and we are sharing the winning posters with you on the screen. The second prize for this competition was won by Priyanka Mohanty, Ashutosh Tyagi and Yash Gupta. The first prize was given to Jagadeep JS, Deepan Tangavel and Priyadarshini Narayanan. Let's have a huge round of applause for the winners.
We would now request Dr. Umashankar Venkatesh, Director PGCM, Great Lakes Institute of Management, to deliver the thank you note. Dr. Venkatesh is a professor in the area of marketing with over 33 years of academic experience. He has worked with renowned B schools like IMI, ITM, IIMT Oxford Brookes, and IILM. As an institution builder, he has helped set up 5 institutions of higher learning in India, both public and private, enacting key leadership roles in conceptualizing, designing, implementing, and managing innovative study programs. Sir, we request you to deliver the thank you note.
Respected Professor Atreya, thank you so much for being with us and enlightening us with. Use this mic. All right. Respected Professor Atreya, thank you so much for being with us and enlightening us with a sort of a structure that people like us and the students can follow. And I think there is an opportunity within the institution itself to identify, like you said, gaps where there are issues around sustainability, and we can try to plug those gaps with action plans and implementing them. So thank you so very much. My next thanks goes to Professor Kirti and her team of students and staff members and faculty members for conceiving, designing and implementing this very crucial, thought-provoking topic integrated into this Sapience 2022, our 10th edition of Sapience. Thank you so very much, Professor Kirti. I thank all the area professors who conceptualize their area topics and help in identifying panel members along with the CCS team, which contributed to identifying speakers for our panels, various panels over today and tomorrow. Thank you so much. All the IT staff members and administration staff members for making this possible. And last but not the least, faculty colleagues and students for being a part of this and showing interest. For students, I was very happy with the kind of questions you put up to Dr. Atreya. To me, what was most encouraging was that it meant that the topic was sustainable and you were not asleep. So thank you so very much for being awake and being aware and asking these questions. One final suggestion. Since so many questions came, I think it is quite possible for any of you as individuals or as in groups to identify issues around sustainability within and around the campus under any form or in any way. For example, Karma Yoga is one platform where you can actually practice this, or any of those clubs that you have around functional areas. You can identify projects that you would like to work upon. Thank you so much, and I hope you have 2 days of very fruitful engagement based on the discussions that emanate out of these panel discussions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for the thank you note.
An important announcement. We start with the Entrepreneurship and OBHR panel discussions at 11:30 a.m. followed by Marketing and Finance at 2 p.m. We look forward to seeing you all in the upcoming panel discussions. Have a great day.